Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I promised you guys in a previous video, I believe it was my entire bag collection video, that I was going to be doing something somewhat controversial with this that might tick some of you off, so stick around to see what it is. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel down below, hit the notification bell right next to the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future content, and hit the like button for this video if you want to see more content like it. So today I'm really going to blend and mesh my two loves, my crafty and my luxury loving side. So my crafty luxe lover. And I'm going to show you how to dye the leather of a Louis Vuitton. This is a Louis Vuitton that I purchased on eBay. It is a Speedy 25. It's a little guy. I have it fully stuffed with paper. I'll kind of show you guys the whole process, but I'm going to show you how to dye this leather to make it to come back to life. I just really want to revive it and be able to carry it or sell it if I so choose. I have actually dyed the leather and painted on a couple of other Louis Vuittons. I'll insert some pictures here of what they were. I've sold them on eBay. I've sold them on Facebook Marketplace. It is just a hobby. It's something that I purchased them like way under value on eBay. You have to be really picky about what you're purchasing. And then I kind of show them some love and revamp them. So let's just get started. I'll kind of show you everything you're going to need, and then I'll show you the process. And as usual, I want to keep this whole video as concise as possible. So I may speed up some parts because they take a little bit longer. So let's just get started. So first things first, you want to gather up all the materials that you're going to need. Obviously, you're going to need a purse that you can create on. I bought this leather cleaner. It's an Apple brand product, not Apple the phone maker, but Apple, like Apple Care, I guess, Apple Guard kind of thing. So it's a leather cleaner. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. I've not actually seen it make a huge difference to use a leather cleaner prior to doing this. Next thing is you're going to want to have some gloves. I have these fun pink gloves. You're going to want some painter's tape. It can be the green frog tape, this blue tape, it doesn't matter. Just some tape. I'll show you why in a minute. You're going to need some leather dye. This is Revamping's low VOC leather dye in black. I like the handles to be black. I think it's such a pretty contrast to the monogram. Obviously, you're going to need some paint brushes. These are the three that I have used. You can see that they're very used. I also have a bowl here, just a clear throwaway bowl. It's just plastic. I think I got it at the dollar store to be able to put this into so I can actually see how far I'm dipping this paintbrush down into. And this paint puck, I got it on Amazon, and it's easy because it has these little fingers on the bottom. I've mentioned it in my cricket game changers, things that change the game of cricketing if you like to do painting or anything of such. So this is a really awesome piece to have. And last but not least is a surface that you don't mind if it gets some paint or if it gets some dye on it. It's not going to be a big deal. I always like to put down this old top from a Louis Vuitton box and use that as just my base to paint on. And let's get started. So the first thing I like to do is to tape off. I'll just show you guys how to do the basics of it, and then I'll show you the end product. You can get these bags authenticated with pro authenticators before you do anything to it. My very first one that I did sell without having it authenticated. I did have some questions come through from buyers that were asking if it had been authenticated, if it's authentic, etc. And I had not. So on my second purse, I did get it authenticated. On this one, I'm just not really bothering with it. I'm not that concerned about it. I think I paid about $200 for this. You can see that the hardware is tarnishing. This zipper pull is broken, which is something that you kind of want to make sure you don't have. On the other ones that I had, you can get the zipper replaced, but on the other two that I purchased, this zipper pull was intact, and I put new pulls on it, not Louis Vuitton pulls. And then you also want to check the corners and make sure that there's not too much corner wear. On this one corner, there is some canvas damage. Everything else looks, well, no, there's a little bit of canvas damage on this one as well. It's not terrible. It's nothing that would deter me from purchasing it. The one thing that I didn't pay as close attention to this time was this zipper pull, and that is something that I definitely would pay attention to in the future. So from there, you just want to take the bag, and I'm going to point you guys down so you can see what I'm doing. From there, you want to take your tape, painter's tape, and I just rip it off. And around the handles, you'll want to kind of get it underneath that leather if you can a little bit. Just stick it to the bag like so. Let me turn it this way so I can show you. Just want to put it up as close as possible. So I'm just going to do that on all four of these and then show you where we go from there. I've gotten this side done, and real quick I did want to mention that I do have it stuffed very full with paper, and that is just to give it more structure, because it's a lot easier to get the tape to stick if you have structure to the back. So let's move forward. I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to paint this side, and then I'll show you the finished product at the end. So first things first, again, you want to put on your gloves because you definitely don't want to stain your hands. I've done it. It comes off, but it's not pretty in the meantime. I'm used to staining my hands from being behind the chair, but we don't have to have stained hands. So put on your gloves. I'm going to point you guys back down so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So I have this plastic bowl. I'm going to slightly shake this up. Nothing too crazy. And I'm going to pour some of that leather dye in there. It doesn't need to be a ton, just enough that you can dip your paintbrush in. I'll pull this back over here. And I did make sure to put tape all along the top here so that it's covering all of this. Okay, so now you're just going to take your paintbrush. So for these pieces, I'm going to use a little bit bigger of a paintbrush. I'm just going to dip that in there and just start painting. Now around the sides here, you want to go in with the brush on the side and just lightly touch it to the side of the leather. And just let that dye kind of move around on the leather on its own. It will soak it in and suck it up, so you don't have to be real heavy-handed with it. See here, you can just touch it to it. But you definitely want to make sure you get all these edges here. There's one chap. And just around the hardware, you just want to be careful that you don't, paint right over it. And same with this side. See how that just soaks it up? Just soaks up that leather dye. It's thirsty. So I just want you to see how well this just moves around on it. You can just dab it and it just soaks it right up. There you go. So you definitely just want to be careful that you're wearing your gloves, that you don't get that leather dye on anything else that you don't want it to be on. If it gets on the canvas, because it's black, it doesn't seem to stand out so much. I do try to clean it off a little bit with some water wipes, but I'm never that concerned with it. I will go back. It takes a few coats to get this to the right color black. This is the best I've seen it take on any purse in one go around. I'm like thrilled. So maybe not wiping the leather down first is a is the key. So another little tip I would say is to take an extra piece of tape. Take an extra piece of tape here and put it across here, making sure to cover up all the canvas so that you can actually just let that hang down and dry. Got a little bit of the dye on me, but that's okay. So the next step would be to tape off this side of it. I always put some tape underneath here and around here and dye these tabs, and then also around here. I don't put any tape around there because it's such a small area. What I do instead is I use a smaller brush. I just like to see which of these brushes tends to be grabbing the leather dye well today, whether I'm working better with one of these or the other. And then I just very carefully go around the edges. And like I said, this leather just soaks up the leather dye, so you just barely dip it in it and you just kind of touch it to it all the way around. Again, if it gets on the canvas, don't have a freak out. It'll be okay. So I do see some spots on the handle that I need to go back into and get better. I don't know if you can see those, but in here there's some spots that didn't cover. I just didn't quite get, so I'm going to do that right now. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but what I'm doing is going around this edge here and just dabbing it in there. I'm sorry that my lighting is so off today. It's really overcast outside and I don't have any lights available to me right this second. So I'm just going to put that there and I'll show you kind of quickly before we lose any more light how I do these little edge pieces. So let me point you back down so you can see that. All right, so like I said, for this tab I would actually tape up underneath it, but what I'm going to do is just take these, I'm gonna try out both of these brushes. So I'm gonna try this one first, it's kind of angled, and see how that works for me today. Just dabbing it on there. And because this is a curved piece, you definitely wanna make sure to get, you know, all the way around from all the way over here to over there. So you just, that's why you want the canvas to be pulled taut. This is the most time-consuming part of it to me, so I am just going to show you kind of a little part of it like this, just very carefully, and then I can show you the end result. As I said, you just want to go slow, but it usually takes 2 or 3 passes on this Vachetta piece, these pieces around the edges, to get them really good and dark. So now I'm just going to finish up these pieces, and I will check back in with you guys when I'm done. So that's it. You can see here it is painted. It looks nice and dark. There are a few spots that I would go back and probably just touch up because I can see that it didn't take as dark, but I'm really, really happy with the results. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this purse, and then I'll show you guys the very end result. And here are my biggest tips. 1, gloves. Obviously you saw how dirty my hands got from just touching it. This stuff is so thin, the dye is so thin, so when you touch your paintbrush to it, you don't have to get a whole lot on there for it to just, when you touch it to the leather, it just like expands on the leather. So tip number 1 is be light-handed, go slow, take your time, don't rush the process, you'll get it done. You'll definitely want some like thinner paint brushes, and then you'll want one bigger one for those larger surfaces, so you're not sitting there, you know, stroke after stroke trying to get it to cover. And have fun. Just have fun with it. I think this is such a fun project to do. I know it can be kind of controversial in the luxury world. I don't care. Have you guys ever thought about painting a Louis Vuitton or a Gucci or anything like that? Let me know down below. Tell me what the thing is that held you up from doing it or has still held you up from doing it. And if you need any more tips and tricks, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. One thing I forgot to mention is that if you want to paint on the actual canvas, you need to use a different type of paint. And that would be the Angelus paint here. And it is for, you know, you can paint on almost anything. You can paint on shoes, you can paint on all kinds of different surfaces. They come in all kinds of colors. I've got black and white. I've got, this one is called Vanilla. And these are like purples and pinks. This one is called Hot Pink. And this one is Violet. I also have a lighter purple, that's a lilac, so you want to use a different one. And the other thing is, while this may not be perfectly painted, all the leather and stuff, like I see some parts that I need to go back over with a really small paintbrush, I think it looks so much better than what it did before with that grungy Vachetta leather. So I just think it's so pretty. It's been so much fun. What do you guys think? Is it controversial to paint on Louis Vuittons? Do you think it's fun? Would you purchase something like that? I'm not looking to make a business out of it. I just thought it was fun, and so I thought I'd share it with you guys. I've heard different opinions all over the board from different YouTubers, so I just wonder what y'all's opinion was. So let me know down in the comments below. Also, last tip, you want to work in a well-ventilated area. I have a fan going, I have windows propped open a little bit. This low VOC means that it has low fumes, and it's been fine for me, but just in case you're real sensitive to that, you can even wear like a ventilator mask if you felt so inclined. I will talk to you guys next time. Bye. I don't have to have what it is that I'm gonna do. You want to gather up all the materials. See if I can pull this back to show